Welcome back, story makers. Sean E Avery here with the next lesson in the Children's Book Council Make Your Own Storybook competition. Now, the last time we were together, we discussed how to create a hardcover for our book. We case bound it and measured it up, cut all the bits out that we needed. In this session, we're going to talk about how to actually put the whole thing together to finish it off. So, get the glue the pages into the spine, to put the end papers on, make it look all pretty, and pretty much finish off the whole process of actually creating the physical book. So I'm gonna go over to my desk and I'm gonna show you how to do it. Okay, now comes the business of sewing or gluing all of our pages. So our two sections, 32 pages if you've done a picture book, or 48 or whatever, into our hard cover. Now you could just take a hot glue gun and sort of glue them into the spine and hope for the best, but what I would suggest is that you actually sew the sections together and then glue it in to make it a teeny bit stronger to guarantee they're not going to fall out. So what I've got here is it's one page cut down to the size of these pages here. I'm actually going to trim this one. Going to trim it down here, so I've got about 2 inches on either side. Okay, so you're going to take this little piece here and you're going to sew this little piece to bind these pages together and create what we call a text block. Although this is a very, very simple way of doing it. If you Google how to create a proper text block online, it'll be a lot more complicated than the way I'm going to show you. I'm just doing it, trying to keep it as nice and simple as possible. Basically, the point of this piece of paper here is to hold your sections together. And I've actually just noticed that mine is a little bit taller, so I actually want to make it a bit shorter. So I'm going to go and chop that down a bit further. There we go. And that should be a teeny bit shorter. Yep. Perfect. So I'm going to take my needle and thread now, and I'm going to sew these two sections into this piece of paper over here to create my text block. And I'm sewing the first section into my text block. Okay. Now that that's sewn on, ignore my stitching, it's pretty ugly, but that's in there pretty solid. And I'm going to do the same thing with the second section. Sew it in right next to it so it butts up against each other like that. So now I have the two sections, or the two signatures, sewn into a text block. Excuse my atrocious sewing, but it won't really matter what the sewing looks like on this side, because this is the side that's going to be glued down. But you can see the two blocks are pretty solidly stuck together now. Those pages aren't going anywhere. So what we need to do, we need to make sure that we get PVA glue all along this section over here. So grab a couple of pieces of scrap paper, so you don't get any glue on your book. It's really important. You don't want the pages being stuck together. And you're going to coat this entire section over here with your glue, making sure you get all the way right into the corners. Okay, now that we've got glue on our text block, we can glue this into the spine of our book. Very careful. Careful not to get any glue on your pages. So open up your book, line it up. Oh, careful. Get it right into the spine. Make sure it's really straight. First time I've done this, easier said than done, right? Line it up really well. Glue it down. Really push it into the spine. Flatten it out. There you go. So that is a spine made sturdy, pages locked in. The last thing we need to do to finish it off is we obviously need to cover this really gross looking area over here. We're going to put in our end papers, which is going to cover this little piece that's locking the spine in, and keep it all together really nicely. So I've got a couple of black end papers here. I'm going to stick them like so to cover up all of these join marks and of course the cardboard cereal box down below. Okay. Back end papers down, you can see straight away it's looking heaps neater at the front here. Now, just to get a little fancy, I'm gonna put a pattern down. So I'm gonna stick this muddy, splashy texture at the front and at the back. And there you have it, guys. Funky looking end papers, mud splashing all over the place to reflect what's happening in the book. And all I've got left to do to finish off my story is to just finish the final illustrations. So there you have it, guys. You have your final hardcover book all ready to go. I've actually gone and put a little bit of contact adhesive over the front and back covers and along the spine just to make that really sturdy and to prevent any sort of dirt getting onto the front cover and messing that up and you know, peeling up any of the paper on the edges there. It's looking pretty good, guys. We've got all those things that a book needs. You know, it's pretty solidly bound. It's been sewn together. The pages aren't going anywhere. It's really solid. So, I mean, don't look too closely at my sewing because my sewing is pretty atrocious. But it's still something that's gonna last for a really long time. So I'm pretty happy with the state of it. And I obviously need to keep on going because I haven't quite finished my final illustrations for my book. I'm getting to the good part now where Charlie sort of meets the flamingos and tries to fit in with them. So I've still got those pages to go. But everything else, it's looking looking pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Now, what we're gonna do in the next session, it's gonna be the final lesson in this video series. We're gonna be discussing, going through a checklist of everything that you need to have to make sure that your book is ready to be submitted. And yeah, that's pretty much the lesson where we cross our T's, dot our I's, make sure that everything is all good to go. Right, happy creating, guys. Good luck finishing your final books, and I will see you next time.